How's it going, guys? Brian Kusko here at Triple B. Today's guest is Mr. Brian Barczyk. I've wanted to interview Brian since I started Triple B TV. Brian has been my biggest inspiration in this hobby. Today, yesterday, when I first started making these videos, Brian has been the #1 influence for me since day one. And I've always wanted to have him on. I finally got to have him on, and now we're great friends too. I wanted this to be, as I want all of my interviews to be, unbiased interviews of people in the hobby. So let me know how I did. You're watching Triple B TV. What was one of your most impactful memories of sharing your love for reptiles with somebody? Like a memory that was just like something that stuck with you for your that's just stuck with you.
You know, it's interesting. That's probably what drives me more than anything is those memories. So it's hard to pick one because there's so many, and it always goes back to kids, really, usually. I mean, there's the occasional time you'll get like an adult. As a matter of fact, I think the most impactful comment I ever had on a YouTube video, it was years ago in the early days of snake bites. I remember someone saying, I grew up on a farm. I'm like third generation farmer, whatever the case is, and I wanted you to know that this morning I found a snake and I moved it off into the woods when prior to watching your show I had always just killed them. And I thought to myself, like from a comment standpoint, that was the most impactful comment at that time, and it still sticks with me because I think, wow, because someone was watching snake bites, they not only didn't kill that snake, which saved that snake's life, but more importantly, maybe the next generation wasn't going to kill a snake. You know what I mean? And so that, from a comment standpoint, that was something that really stuck with me. As far as people, I mean, it's tough because, again, there's so many. I mean, I remember there was a little girl named Melissa who had had, I can't remember what it was. Can't remember what the disease was, but she had a fatal disease, and her family came on the Make-A-Wish I told you about,
right.
and I remember like seeing her excitement, and her mom had told me that prior to that day, the only time she had ever really been out of the house was when she was getting poked and prodded, so like for her to go out of the house, and we spent the day here, and we went down to Columbus, Ohio, and we had a day around animals, and just to see the excitement on her face, and not just her face, but also parents' face that had spent 7 years constantly dealing with medical issues with their daughter, and to see their kind of just excitement and the fact that they were able to kind of get away for a day. And the only thing that was sad about that, of course, was it was only a day, But there's so many of those stories. I mean, and that's ultimately what led me kind of down this path of like almost like changing from like a commercial breeder to more education, entertainment, because I think those moments are, for me, at least at this point in my life, and life is always an evolution, those are the moments that are more impactful for me now, you know what I mean? And although producing a really one-of-a-kind snake is amazing, and I'll always love it, it doesn't have the same oomph to me as impacting someone's life and hopefully changing their perception of something I love so dearly.
I think a lot of people that are into reptiles like we are, that have that childhood type of passion for them, I think that holds true with a lot of us. Is like that moment when we see somebody else like get excited about the snakes. Because for me too, like when I see a little kid, that's like makes my day, makes my week. When we see a kid have that kind of reaction, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's something about it. And again, you see the kid, and that often impacts their parent. I mean, they go, oh my God, my kid is so into this. And I think that's ultimately, as we're sitting here in what will be the Reptarium, why I went down this path is because, I've been to Jay's place and seen the kids so excited, and Jay was a big part of this journey for me, and I knew that, maybe millions of people might be watching me on YouTube, but I'm not seeing them, and although their comments are bright in my life every single day, to be able to physically see people come into this place and see their reaction is going to be, I mean, for me, it is a passion project, and it's something that's going to change my life, and just gives me another level of excitement to wake up in the morning.
Do you feel like you ever had to like sacrifice, like being like a closet keeper kind of person, like something where you just like focused in order to make it more of a public, enterprise, reptile, like entertainment enterprise thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's, listen, I've told this story a ton where I never really thought of myself as a guy that would be in front of people, be, you know, watched, viewed. I mean, this weekend, we, talked in front of a ton of people in Toronto, and I remember going to my first public speaking thing like way back in the day, and there was 12 people. It was the Toledo Herp Society, and there was 12 people in the room. And when they announced my name to get up there, I almost had a panic attack and ran out of the room. 12 people. And so my point is that I never really wanted to be out front of people. I've told this story. For 20 years, we had one of the biggest collections in the world, and really no one really knew much about us. You know what I mean? I was quiet. I wholesaled the vast majority of my animals. I didn't really want to be known. I didn't need that affirmation of like, oh, whatever. And I don't want people to take what I'm saying right now the wrong way, but what happened was when Steve Irwin died, it was huge to me. It was, it was unbelievable. And several months after he died, I thought there was a vacuum, like no one was stepping up. And I've told people this then, and I tell people now, I never want to be Steve Irwin. I would never try to be Steve Irwin. As a matter of fact, I think that would insult his memory if I ever said I wanted to be that guy. What I wanted to do is just take a little piece of that vacuum, and I felt like if a bunch of people filled that kind of hole that we had, maybe we could continue on his work. And his work, whether you liked him or disliked him, I loved him, was the fact that he was changing people's minds. I say this all the time. When you walk into a toy store now and see a stuffed animal alligator or crocodile, it's because of Steve Irwin. They were demonized and looked as monsters prior to him, and his love of crocodiles changed people's minds. And that's all I wanted to do, and it wasn't a comfortable transition. And to some extent, although I've become comfortable with it now, it's not who I am. Who my nature is to be the guy off in the corner, not talking to people, not getting affirmation. One of the most uncomfortable experiences for me at the CRBE was when Mark Mandic and Justin Kabelika and Ozzy were saying nice things about me.
I saw that. I was sitting there watching the talk, and I could see you like kind of wanting to crawl out of your skin, like get off the stage. And
I don't. This is always, people that don't know me are surprised by this. I don't like. It's not. I appreciate support. I appreciate compliments. I appreciate those things. But by nature, it makes me very uncomfortable.
Right.
Maybe it's a self-image issue. Maybe I don't feel worthy. I don't really know what it is. But so my point is there was a huge sacrifice, and still to this day a huge sacrifice, moving from that guy that was a closet, no one really knew what was going on. Yes, BHB had a big collection, but no one really knew much because we were secretive, to being totally open. And I remember having the conversation with Lori when I started Snake Bites, and again having the conversation when I started the daily vlog, that if we're going to do this, I want to be completely transparent and open our lives. Snake Bites wasn't quite as much that way, but now, I mean, people see my house, they see my family. Noah was hardly ever in the videos before, maybe once or twice in 5 years. Now he's in them almost every day. Lori was rarely in them, now she's in them almost every day. So, it's a huge sacrifice, but one that I think is more than worth. I mean, I tell people, yes, there's some negatives, maybe my own personal comfort or my own personal, and I talk about wanting to get outside your comfort zone all the time. That's one of the things I preach about. I'm outside my comfort zone almost every day now.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I roll with this guy and travel with this guy. He's always out of his comfort zone. Like I can't believe how much of your life you spend out of your comfort zone. I mean.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. But I feel the only way you can grow as a person is to try to do things that terrify you. And public speaking used to terrify me. Now it doesn't at all. But and obviously I am somewhat, the most comfortable now in front of a camera. Oftentimes when I'm alone, and that's almost therapeutic to me. It's like my friend. The lens is my friend, and and so that's a really comfortable thing for me, and to be able to share it is amazing. And I guess the weird thing is that, again, it's this evolution from being very uncomfortable, why am I doing this, to feeling like it's so much a part of who I am now that I can't imagine waking up in the morning and not having a camera in my face like all day long. And it's something I love, and if I can change even that one farmer's opinion to not kill that snake, it's all worth it.
You definitely see a lot of opinions change. When I scroll through your comment section, I'll see, there's always at least a couple people that say, I was always afraid of snakes, and then after watching how you made it not such a big deal, and you do have that impact.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I try, and that's all that matters to me. And you got to take the bullets, for it, and that kind of comes with the territory.
Do you think you deserve any of the stuff that comes your way? Do you think at all?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, of course. I think that if I said I didn't deserve some of it, I would be, not truthful. I think that you also always have to be self-reflective. I think a lot of the things I've done in the past, looking back, absolutely I could deserve criticism for. Do I think it was maybe overblown? Probably. I think it got to a point where everything I did was wrong. Where there was nothing I could do was right.
Well, we put that to a test when we were in Indo. Forrest and I would post the same thing you did, and everybody like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And that's like, we get nothing but comments like that. And we go over to look at your feed, and it's just like, "How could you do that? You're the most horrible person in the world."
Yeah, but I tell you what, I think that really one of the hardest things that I've done, but probably the thing that changed my perspective a lot, was the whole cyberbully video. It was really hard for me to make that video. I thought about it for a whole long time, but it was really impacting my life, what was going on. And I in a 2-day window, because I asked people to email me. I gave my email address. Tell me what you think. I wanted to hear. I got 800 emails within 2 days, which I responded to every single one, and ultimately some of those turned into 2, 3, 4, 5 emails back and forth. There was certainly the 150 emails that love me no matter what I do.
Right.
We just support you, Brian. There was the 50 emails that doesn't matter what I do, I'm the worst guy in the world. I could save a baby, and they would say that I shouldn't have done. So there was those 50 people saying, Brian, you're a horrible person, and I'd like you to die. and so I try not to look at those factions, right? Because the people that follow me blindly, although I love their support, they have a very biased opinion.
Right.
And the people that hate me, no matter what I do, have a very biased opinion. It was the other 600 emails that I really paid attention to. And what really was surprising to me was the fact that, and this was enlightening, was that a lot of the people that were saying very mean things about me were doing it not because they hated me, but they wanted me to be a better version of myself. And that was surprising to me, because I just thought most of those people just hated me. And although, maybe there was certainly the hate train, and people would overreact to things because they were micro-analyzing everything I did, I realized that the vast majority of the people that were on that weren't like terrible people, and they didn't hate me. They wanted me to succeed. They just wanted me to succeed in a better version of myself. And so that was a good thing. And I'll tell you another email that really impacted me, much like the comment I spoke about. And out of all of those emails, and I read all of them, and I took them all to heart, but the one was probably the most important, and it said, it was a woman, she said, the problem I have with you, Brian, is that you keep your animals the same way you kept them 20 years ago. So you haven't evolved. And what really I took from that is, you're right. But more importantly, the entire hobby didn't evolve. Right? We may have gotten shinier cages, we may have gotten cages that slide better, but we're still keeping them in a tub, And it was the same thing that we kept them in a tub 20 years ago. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that it's shocking that we've learned so much about these animals, but yet the standard keeping hasn't changed at all. You know what I mean? Yeah, we use flax water, we use this, or we use stainless steel instead of wood, or whatever the case. But in the end, that's the same thing we've done. And I'm not talking bad about that. I still keep snakes. I will probably always keep snakes in tubs, or geckos in tubs. What I'm saying is that it made me realize, like, wow. And although maybe on the hard side was, like, I kind of got blamed for most of that when everyone else did the same thing, I, I I realized, wow, maybe they had a point, and that's really, I think, what really kicked the Reptarium into full blast for me, and even Reptile Prime in the direction I want to go with Reptile Prime, giving people the ability to have, a lot of people want to keep their animals in more naturalistic, and there's a whole debate whether naturalistic or aesthetically
Because
clean.
keeping it sterilized is
Right,
the big issue, right?
Right, there's a debate on both sides. You're going to have the people that say, well, if you go naturalistic, are you going to be able to keep it clean enough? There's going to be people that say if you keep it too aesthetic, it's not right for the animal. I don't want to make that argument. I want to do both now.
Yeah.
I will tell you this in complete transparency, that it's harder for me to get enjoyment out of opening a drawer after seeing animals in these cages. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing it. I'm just saying that in a perfect world, we'd be able to do both somehow.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, and I did a vlog about this once, and it's the truth. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't tell me you want every animal of mine to be in a naturalistic, beautiful cage, but then you still want to buy a leopard gecko for $25. You can't do that, because you can't produce a leopard gecko cheap enough if you're keeping it in a naturalistic cage. So it's much like the organic meat issue, right? You know what I mean? It's like, how much of the market is organic, grass-fed, free-range animals? You know what I mean? Hardly any. So people may not like commercial farming, but they buy commercial farm food. You're right, and so that's the debate that I think the reptile community has to continue to really self-reflect on, is the fact that you can't say you want them to be a natural, but then you want the cheapest animal you can buy, because that doesn't go together, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, no. Everybody, every time I hear somebody debating about how you keep your animals, I always come back to, at least they like snakes. You know, it's like there's this whole battle they're trying to have inside the community, when we should just be trying to convince everybody else how cool snakes. There are people that want us to not have interaction with animals whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing, right? And again, I want to continue to reiterate that I deserved a lot of the criticism. I hope I've gotten better. I think I've gotten better. I've got to continue to get better. I think that I cleaned up a lot of things when I read those 600 changing emails. I didn't film cleaning a cage anymore, even though that was a weird thing for me, because it's like, you clean a dirty cage, you don't clean a clean cage. I even had someone say, well, what you should do is you should probably clean your animal, then put it back, and then film cleaning it, which didn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. So you want me to film a lie, essentially. But I got it, and I understood that. And not only was I giving ammunition to the people that 50 people that hated me, so those 50 emails of people, because they would take the screen capture of a dirty cage that we were cleaning and say, look at how filthy his cages are. And it was funny, I had a couple people in town for the reptile build from Canada in Buffalo, and they cleaned Lucy with me on Monday, and Wednesday her cage was destroyed, and we cleaned it again. So you see what I'm saying? Like, if you only saw that on Wednesday, you might think, oh my God, how long was that cage so bad? But we had just cleaned it 48 hours earlier.
Well, yeah, rejects, so, that's a daily chore, right?
Yeah, but anyways, my point is that I took a lot of that to heart, some of the more sensational stuff that I did for views, certainly getting bit, I can understand people's position on maybe stressing an animal out for entertainment. Again, it's a fine line, I get it. But now I'm trying to err on the side of caution rather than what it is.
I think it's a smart move, especially that you're the biggest guy. You're the first person to have a big reptile YouTube channel, and you're probably more in the spotlight, more in the public eye than anybody else. And I would say, right?
Well,
now, reptiles.
Right. And I think that, I took a lot out of that experience, and one of the things I took out, whether it's fair or unfair, I should be held to a different standard. I don't know if I should, but I am going to be, and I accept that responsibility. And so my point is I think the last 9 months, I hope that I prove that I've changed and need to continue to evolve. So I take that really seriously. I'd love to win back the respect of the reptile community. I don't think that I'll ever be where I was. And that's really the weird thing, right, Brian, is that for 26 years, you couldn't find someone to say something bad about me. And then in a matter of a very short period of time, I became the most hated guy in reptiles. And that was a really difficult emotional thing for me, because I didn't feel like I had changed personally. Maybe, I mean, we all get tied up in the kind of the views and the how can I get people to watch, and maybe I need to do something more sensational to get more views. That happens. I mean, and if anyone says it doesn't, it's a lie. I mean, especially when you're a daily vlogger, you're always trying to make sure you're putting out great content. So sometimes you kind of get foggy about where that content, life becomes content, and you're always looking for something. So I'm trying to be a lot more cognizant of that, and representing the reptile hobby in the best light that I possibly can.
Restart this before it stops recording on me.
But
I'd like to see it go more towards have you back, because as it is right now, like I know you're debating, most likely not going to Tinley, and to me that's and I know why. Obviously, I understand why. I know that I know why, but it's because the amount of hate you come in. I think you had somebody come and like take pictures with you last year, like, and then go out and say how much they hated you with the picture.
Yeah,
and that would kind of drive anybody away, I think.
Yeah, it's a weird thing when someone comes up and to your face, takes a picture and says, gosh, I watch everything you do. I love you so much. And literally 10 minutes later, they post on Instagram, it was so nice to meet Brian. He's such a nice guy, but I realize he's a terrible, image for the hobby. And you just go like, what just happened? And I think what it is that perception is reality, and when people start perceiving that you're bad, everyone starts perceiving you're bad. Even if you look and you micromanage and say, really, what are you doing that's bad? And I'm saying I can't erase the past. As a matter of fact, I keep videos up on snake bites that make me no money. So it's not like I'm keeping them there for money because they're demonetized or they're copyrighted or anything like that. I keep them up there because I want people to see my past. And I want to maybe see that I've changed in the evolution. If I start erasing my past, it's not going to go away. You know what I mean? And that's what I think, again, what I look at is when people sometimes say things like, well, you used to just be about education, now you're about sensation or something like that. I go, have you really watched my old Snake Bites videos? Because my old Snake Bites videos are cringe. They're sensational, they're cringe. Chewy got bit every single. I mean, if I put out that content now, I should be hated. Right? If today, in 2018, I put out early snake bite stuff, I should be ostracized. I should. Those were mistakes. I'm not proud of them. It happened, at the time, people loved it. There was no hate then. People loved it. They wanted to see it, and I'm sure there was the few people, but overwhelming people loved that crazy stuff that we did back then when it was happening. It's a different time now, but for me to try to erase that time would be silly. I mean, it would be actually bad for me to do that. I want people to understand that I had a past and I've moved in a direction. Am I perfect? No. Am I? Is there still things that people can point out? Absolutely. But many of the things that people say and think about me just are flat out not true.
It is true, because I've been far enough away from, I don't know what, I've had people say things to me like just things that I know aren't true about you because they don't know you as a person. Like people said you're on drugs. He's on drugs. I'm like, dude, the dude can't even eat aspirin.
Yeah, I've heard it too. I've heard drug addict. I've heard all kinds of things, and anyone that knows me knows I don't. I can't, I can't even drink more than a beer. I won't take. I mean, even when I get prescribed medication, I normally don't take it because I can't do it. So, but no, I think that this is, I remember I was on a podcast, and this was like a year or so ago, and the guy that was doing the podcast, the first thing he said is, I've got Brian Barczyk here, and he's a pretty controversial guy. And right there I stopped him. I said, that's what's interesting to me, is because anyone that knows me, and you know me as well as anyone because we've spent so many thousands of hours together, I'd like to think I'm the least controversial guy. I don't want conflict. I don't want any issues. I just want to go through life and be happy. And so it's weird that of all people look at me as controversial. It's just weird. Now, and that's not to say that things I've done in the past aren't controversial. And that's not to say I'm going to not F up in the future. It's to say I'm going to do my best not to, and I think that I've cleaned myself up. And listen, I love the reptile hobby. I mean, I was part of the foundation of the reptile hobby. It was my baby, you know what I mean? I took more pride in the reptile hobby than anything, in life. and to not not feel comfortable going to Tinley Park is painful. It's painful, And for people, it is, but it is what it is, And I can't change it, I can't. If I could sit down with every person like I'm sitting down with you, or not right now because we're filming, but like on a personal level, I feel every single person would feel differently about me. Does that mean they'll come away and think I'm a great guy? No. Would they agree with everything I do? Absolutely not. But I just can't believe if anyone spent 5 minutes with me, they would hate me. I can't believe they would. But maybe I'm wrong, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't spend personal time with every single person, so I can do what I can do, and at the end of the day, I have to accept the role that I have, and whatever that role is. Before, I think the role was to tend to be the face of the reptile hobby, or the reptile breeding hobby, maybe even. I don't think that that's my position anymore, and I don't think that it'll ever be my position again, and that's why I've talked openly about passing that torch, to guys like you and Miguel and Billy and Mike McGrath, and the list goes on and on. I mean, to me, I'm okay with passing that torch, and as much as I would love to still be the face, I realize that's just probably not the option, and I'm willing to sacrifice maybe my own personal satisfaction for the betterment of the hobby.
Well, my opinion. It's better with you in it, and I want you to come to all the shows and I think there's maybe a small faction of people that, they don't want the hobby to grow. They want it to stay small, like a small thing where there's not a lot of people in it. Because naturally, anytime you bring more and more people into something, things do get messed up. Like the big shows that people like for a music venue, a music event, that when they're kind of small and it's like a little community thing, it's cool, and then it get really big, and then the people that were first there are like, oh, I can't do it anymore.
It's a good old boys club.
Right, right. Yeah, so there is that small faction, but for anybody that is interested in seeing the hobby grow and seeing more people being okay with snakes, you bring more people into the hobby than anybody else right now, hands down, and have been for a long time, I think. Like people have said to me, you go to a show, there are a lot of people that are happy that you're there because you're bringing more people there that are going to go around to see their booths. And
well, I think it sucks, honestly, that the people that want to see me there won't see me there because of the small amount of bad apples. But you got to remember, the bad apples are really bad apples. And I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying they want to see me fail, and they are vitriolic about that. I mean, they it's not like they just hope that I don't do well. They want to see. If tomorrow I got hit by a bus, they would be happy. They'd be rejoicing, and that shocks me. And that's the problem. Is like, let's face it. I can't go to Tinley without a Sean Bradley confrontation, right? That's just the facts. He's going to confront me. How do I win that battle? I don't. There's no way to win that battle. And so do I go and know that I have to deal with a small faction of people that are going to do everything they can do to make me look like a bad guy in front of as many people, including yelling and shouting at me in front of everybody, recording it on their cell phone and then posting it to public? Or do I just say, you know what, I don't want to have anything to do with that now and need that anymore?
Well, I know what my choice would be. See you guys whenever you want to come by my place.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's such an uncomfortable position, because again, Tinley is a tough one, because I think that, again, 99% of the people that are there are great to me, great to my face. But there was a guy, it was funny because this goes back to Venom Hunters days. And that's another thing. I mean, I do not regret doing Venom Hunters. It was a horrible outcome, on all levels for that thing. But it was a great experience. I had a fun time. Discovery Channel treated me fantastic. Got to travel and who in the reptile hobby would have turned that down? You know what I mean? Like, hey, you can go travel around. We're going to pay you, and you're going to be on TV, and you're going to, who's not going to do that? But that being said, it certainly wasn't the product I hoped for. That being said, there was a ball python breeder that I literally saw on Facebook post the most horrible things about that show and me doing that show. And then I saw him at Tinley literally right a couple months after it aired, or actually it was still airing, I think, as a matter of fact. I think we were on episode 3 or 4. And he came up to me and he shook my hand and said, dude, I want to tell you, I love that show. You're doing such a great job, blah, blah. And I wanted to pull my phone out and pull his post up and show him the post that he made. So my point is that, to my face, everyone is really good, but I think still, even the people like that, I think most of the people there really are happy to see me there. They want to see me there. They know me. But that 1% is just, it's hard, man. I'm not, me, dude. I don't like conflict. I don't want it, man. And one of the things that I've been trying to do, and me and you have talked about this personally, like I every day am on a quest for happiness, right? And it's not easy, because I'm a tormented person.
Because of how your personality. And
I'm a tormented guy.
Driving towards,
Right. I've got so many demons that are constantly battling at me, and all I do every morning when I wake up is like, let's make today awesome. Let's try to make this the best day I possibly can. And so to put myself in the line of fire is maybe even harder for me than most people, because I'm battling constantly with trying to be happy. I'm battling constantly to try to find a fun day and to go and do the best. So it's tough, man. I want to be there with you, and I want to be there with Miguel and Forrest and all my other friends. There's so many, Kim, and so many people that I want to see there. But man, do I not want to see the people that are going to make my life miserable, and so it's tough. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard, dude. It's hard. It's harder than anyone could possibly imagine for me to understand what to do.
I don't get a sliver. I don't get a sliver of the hate that you've gotten, and so I can only imagine how hard it is. I've told you before too. There's times, like even before we went on the Indo trip, like I was like, I was conflicted about saying it because you're my friend, and I felt like an asshole because of it, because like I should.
I remember you telling me.
No, but I told you I was like, I don't want to get wrapped up in that, because I don't want to feel what that feels like to catch what you catch.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think that's why I consider you such a good friend, is because you didn't let that sway you. You didn't let the pressure of don't get associated with Brian sway you. You did what you wanted to do, and you didn't. And I'll be honest, a lot of my friends didn't do that, and that hurt probably more than anything. People that I had helped, people that I had mentored, people that were friends of mine, that wouldn't like a post of mine because they were afraid to have their name seen on a like on my post, or they wouldn't defend me knowing that lies were being told about me. And not everything was lies. I mean, I'm not saying everything was lies by any stretch, but there were a lot of them, and it hurt me to see my friends not stand up for me, and I appreciated you, because when you brought that up, I knew you were a little conflicted, but yet you said, F it, man, I'm going to just do it. And we become such close friends and done so many cool things together, and I'd like to think you didn't regret that decision.
Definitely not, man. This has been like, no, of course.
But I think
So much fun.
listen, I think it's gotten better, right?
I think
with the Indo was coming up on the crescendo of it. Like that was when it was like really coming hard, and I think that most rational people have kind of looked now and said, okay, we've heard about this, and we've heard about that, and we've heard his collection's infested with mites, and we've heard this, and we've heard that. But we're sick of hearing it, right? And you've been with me now for the last few days and been in my collection, and I mean, there's no mites. There's no dying animals. There's no
clean down there, man.
And it's not me. I mean, I'm not the one
crew
cleaning.
is on it.
My crew is amazing. They're the ones that deserve all the credit. They love these animals, and I think that was really difficult for my crew. They would come in, like Jessica's a perfect example. She's sometimes here till 10 o'clock at night. She's working her butt off, barefooted, and all that, and for her to see that animals weren't taken care of, that's a bash on her. Her dedication to those animals is undying, and that's just one example. Eric is that. Every single one, Kelsey, every single person that works for me is unbelievably dedicated to those animals, and it was hard for them to see on social that the animals they were caring for were being said they weren't cared for, and I'm very, very lucky, because I thought there was a period of time I might start losing some of my crew because they were so dejected about it, because by attacking me, you were attacking them, and thankfully they stuck with me, and like I said, I mean, I think things have calmed down. Sure, there's still a faction of people that are obsessed, and listen, I think I should still be held to that standard that people want me to be held to. I don't have a problem with that, but but certainly the main hate has died down a lot, and life's a lot better not waking up. I mean, listen, no one wants to post on Instagram knowing that there's going to be 10 comments about what an asshole I am. You know what I mean? And I can thankfully say that, you know, it's been months and months and months since I posted and had somebody, you know, create a fake. This is a funny thing, Brian. There were people that would create fake accounts just to post negative comments on my videos and on my Instagram. And I thought, who has that time? You know what I mean? Like, at least man up and post it on your own account.
Oh, we filled the card.
Oh my gosh, wow.
we filled up the card.
How far do you think we went?
Well, that last clip, I just let it run to however far we got, but we've already filled up one memory card, and I think that we could probably fill up a lot of memory cards.
We could probably sit here for 8 hours, yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't going to be the last time we hang out. I mean,
No.
you've been such a good friend from the very beginning. There's stories I've shared. People that watch the channel know how much you helped me in the beginning, and you didn't know who I was. It's not like I was some kind of special person, like you had any benefit to helping me. Like there was none. You didn't know who I was, and yet you were right there for me and stepped up for me, like when there was zero benefit to you. And I feel like that's like a continuing story. Actually, you're constantly doing things that help me, then you're getting nothing out of it.
No. That's what friends do, man. I mean, I think that you know, when you're, you know, when you do something for anybody, not just friends, but anybody, it shouldn't be loaded. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to get something in return for it. It's, you know, that's not what it's about. You know, it's about, you know, just trying to be the best person you can be. But don't get me wrong. I mean, there's plenty of bad things about me. I mean, you know, I'll admit it right along with anyone else. And I mean, there's plenty of things I could say that I don't like about myself.
Yeah. Well, we should all be our own worst critics, I think.
Yeah.
And that's how we get to be better people, is knowing we could be better.
Yeah, it's a journey, right? I mean, it never ends. You know, you never get to the end, and you know, maybe one day I'll feel like I've achieved more to get to that goal. I don't know, but there's a long way to go. But it's been a fun ride.
I'm here to help any way I can, man. I appreciate you.
You always have been, man. I mean, I remember you saved me from utter panic on that plane to Laban Baju.
I thought you were going to get off the plane, to be honest. I was like,
we had some good times. Still one of the most memorable experiences of my life.
yeah,
is going.
Well,
going
I'm
on
glad
that
you came
trip.
with me, because I was going to go by myself, but you stepped up, even faced your fears. Like, no, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, we did it, man, and that's where I want to live life. And but no, I love it. We got plenty of adventures ahead. All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
You guys still with us? It was a long one, I know. I wanted it to be fully uncut, the whole thing, the whole interview just up there for you guys to see, which is, you know, most of my interviews are uncut, to be fair. There's, you know, switch between camera angles and maybe some B-roll, but for the most part, unless the interviewee requests that I cut some stuff out, then it pretty much goes up uncut. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Even though Brian's a great friend now, it's still a big moment for me on this channel to have him on. So thank you, Brian, for doing the interview. And next week, we're going to be interviewing folks at Tinley Park, and I believe the first one up is Mr. Gavin from Balls to You in the UK. So until then, you've been watching Triple B TV. Y'all take care.
Yeah, so like I said, whatever you want to cover, we can. I'm always open about it, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because one of the things I'd want to ask, like questions that, I don't know, like harder questions maybe on some of them, you know, where it's not like.
Yeah. No, do
where
whatever
people
you
don't
want
think
to.
I'm just giving you like the easy run because we're friends, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, I think you're good. I think you're good. Whatever you want to do.
There's a couple questions that I had actually put down.
I always feel like whenever you're doing something good for someone, if you're telling people you're doing it, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
You know.
I can understand that.
You know, because it wasn't. It's not for. Look at me, I'm such a good guy. You know, it's because you know you want to be.
It was special.
I appreciate it.
This channel probably wouldn't even exist. How's it going, guys? Brian Cusco here at Triple B.